What's up, guys? It's Beef Chief here, and welcome back to another FC26 video. Today, we are going to be going over everything we know about the brand new Gauntlet game mode in FC26. We got a little bit of information from EA in the deep dive and pitch notes, which we'll take a look at. And then we have some clips from podcasts and interviews directly with EA employees talking about how this game mode is going to work. This is one of the things I'm most excited about in FC26. So let's go ahead and dive into it, starting with the Ultimate Team deep dive, where they talked about it a little bit.
Gauntlets are a new live event designed to test your club depth, making every one of your players more important and challenging your ability to compete with different squads. Each gauntlet consists of a set number of matches. But here's the catch. You must use a completely new squad every single match. Unlike tournaments, you won't get knocked out when you lose, but the more wins you get, the better your rewards will be. Live events are also replacing and
I absolutely cannot wait for this mode. So just in that little snippet that we got in the deep dive here, I do like to take a look at some of like the still images here. So for example, this ultimate gauntlet is what they've talked about is going to be the first gauntlet that we get in FC26. It's going to have 3 rounds, and I believe they mentioned gauntlets are going to go up to 5 rounds. But early in the game, since you have to use a different squad in each round, they're going to keep it to three rounds here. Now, this is super exciting again because forcing people to use different squads in each round gives people a reason to expand their club and not just have one specific team that they use that is just their main team and that's it. It gives you a reason to build a good Prem team and a good La Liga team because in the first round, you might use your Prem team, then you got to use your La Liga squad, then maybe you use your, I don't know, your USA squad that you made. It gives depth to the game and it even gives more value to like SBCs and objectives that are players from off leagues. Like if you got a bunch of SPCs and objective players from the Portuguese league, eventually you could piece together a League of Portugal squad to take into the gauntlet. So I absolutely love the idea of this mode and everything that it brings. Let's go ahead and dive into the pitch notes here. So, gauntlets are a new way to test your club depth and your ability across multiple matches. Each gauntlet consists of up to 5 matches. However, instead of using the same squad each match, you'll need to use a completely different squad for every match, including the entire subs bench. At launch, we'll kick things off with the Ultimate Gauntlet, featuring 3 rounds requiring 3 unique squads and running every 2 weeks to start. So this is going to be available for 2 weeks and then refresh, it sounds like. This is just the beginning with more details to come in our launch update. So we'll hear more in some future pitch notes. Unlike tournaments, there's no elimination here. You can keep playing through the full gauntlet regardless of results, but the more you win, the better the rewards, obviously. It's a format where squad building choices matter just as much as what happens on the pitch here. I cannot wait for this. And I think that's all they had on the pitch notes there. So again, this idea that like you have to have a stronger overall club rather than just a main team, I think is so valuable. So let's go ahead and dive in to some of these interviews that we saw. We'll start with the foot accountant here. He's talking to Richard, who I think is mainly a gameplay guy, but we'll have a look, see what they have to say here.
Cool. And then I want to turn to gauntlets a little bit and speak about that. One of the questions that we were trying to figure out in the stream yesterday was, it seems simple, but I just wanted to clarify. When it says that there's 3 rounds, that's just 1 match per round, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And
so
then
different squad each round, and it's from 2 to 5, but asking people to like maintain and care about 5 squads at launch is just like you kind of have your squad that you're chasing, and then like your I don't know, kind of god squad, and then you have your second tier like players that you like. For me, it's my Canada team that I'm chasing after.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be a great space to use that. And we've already been talking about in the stream as well, like how it's going to look different from just a club management perspective of, okay, these players that I used to just say, I haven't used them in 2 weeks, I'm going to throw them into an SBC. Now it's like,
Right.
hold on, I might need to keep those. So that's cool too.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, and I'm sure you are as well, about what this does to the market as well,
Oh,
as
yeah.
people are actively chasing after more content other than just to like throw them into the fodder machine of SPC.
For sure. And then one more thing on gauntlets related to how the players are locked after they're used. Let's say in round one, game one, I use Inform Lamine Yamal because I have him. In round two, would I be able to use the gold Lamine Yamal if I had him as well, or no?
So yeah, so to start off, you will be able to use if players have a different rarity, you're
Hmm.
going to be able to do that.
Okay.
What I do want to say is we're going to monitor this, and if people are just kind of bringing in duplicates of the same squad
Yeah.
again and again, and we're not seeing that like, oh, you have permission to use the players that you love, we'll
Mm.
clamp down on that, and you'll only
Okay.
be able to use one.
Okay. Gotcha. That's good to know because I think that was one.
I like that they're gonna monitor it and make sure that you can't use just use different versions of the same players all the time. My issue with it is why are they even allowing that in the first place? Like, just don't allow at all for me to use the gold version of a player and then in the next round use a team of the week version of the player. So I like that they're gonna monitor it. I would prefer that they just get rid of it entirely, just force people into using these different players. So I think that was everything on Gauntlet in that there. Now, I believe they talk a little bit about it here on the Foot Weekly podcast. They've got Richard again here and Jamie, who we've seen a lot of. So let's see what they've got to say here.
Yes. So we're bringing back and evolving tournaments, which is the classic knockout football. I'm just quickly talking about tournaments, then we'll get into gauntlets. So tournaments is point you get knocked back to the beginning. Buckled competition. So this means you can play up to 5 matches in a gauntlet. You have to bring a new squad and subs for each match, and then if you lose, you don't get the win with that squad. You have to move on to the next round, but you don't get kicked back out, so you still get to play between 2 and 5 matches in the gauntlet. So the main reason why we did this is for like, and this is a theme of the year, is squad diversity and giving you more spaces where you're encouraged to use squads that you want to use rather than use the squads that you feel like you really have to use to stay competitive in rivals and stay competitive in champions. So what I love about gauntlets is I think you're where you place your like meta squad or squad that you've really finally crafted and know the ins and outs of do you want to play that in your first round because we're going to try to match you up with somebody else in the first round as well, or do you want to save that until later on in the gauntlet and maybe you use your evo squad first, or like for me I have my Canadian squad that I'm really excited to actually have the space to pull out. So for gauntlets, it's really about the diversity and seeing what other people are building that isn't just in their like rivals champ squads.
And if I could add to that too, I think there's a couple other like interesting, fun use cases that come from Gauntlet, and maybe I'm getting a little bit into the sort of world of how we'd use it, which is perhaps what you guys were going to ask next. But like generally speaking, for Gauntlet, the idea is that it's going to have open squad recs. The majority of our gauntlets are going to have open squad recs, so it's not going to be EA telling you have to use a French squad or a German squad or like a first owner squad or whatever it is to like enter into the gauntlet. It'll be like you get to choose what squads you want to bring to that. And what we saw a lot on like feedback, social media, creators talking to us was like, well, I've got this really cool like past and present Spurs squad, or I've got my all Evo squad, or I got my first owner squad, or whatever it is. But I don't have a place to use that because all of the modes right now either ask me to do something very specific in my squad setup, or they ask me to I'm effectively encouraged to bring the best squad that I possibly can have. And so we want to have this space be like, well, you can use your second, third, fourth, fifth squad, and maybe your Evo squad is your third squad, and your past and present is your fourth squad, or whatever it is. We want that to be sort of this is the place to do that. There's two other things which I think we're hoping that Gauntlet can kind of drive for us. The first is that like right now there's this challenge where the power curve moves pretty quickly, and maybe we can spend some time talking about how we're going to adjust that for FC26. But the power curve moves pretty quickly right now, and so if you have an item that maybe your best striker that you've sort of fallen in love with, he's really good for you up top, and the power curve moves on, and he's no longer the best striker in your first squad. He could still be the best striker in your second squad or your third squad in Gauntlet. So you essentially extend the lifespan, if you will, of many of your items. And then the sort of second use case of the ones that I'm mentioning here is that I think one of the most exciting things that can happen in Ultimate Team is when you pack an item, or you get an item from a pack that directly goes into your squad. Like you can take that item and go like, oh, sick, the walkout, fired, and I can actually put that item directly into my squad. That is really rare right now. And so we want to make it so that Gauntlet's like, well, yeah, maybe this is not the best right back in your whole club, but this might be the best right back in your third Gauntlet squad, right? So like you can have these moments where that feels exciting and there's more win conditions, if you will, for the sort of pack opening experience.
And just on when you say that kind of you don't want to be too restrictive, is that something that will be monitored as the year goes on? If if there's feedback that people would like kind of like a nations only gauntlet where each squad can only be from like a team made up of one nation, it's not specific what that is, so it could be French one round, German the next round. Is that something you'll be kind of reviewing?
Yeah, 100%. I think there's like two things that we obviously need to balance here. The first is that we want folks having consistent spaces. They know that there's going to be a gauntlet coming where they can use the best X number of squads that they have. We want that to be like a motivation in the back of people's minds throughout the year where they go, it is worth it for me to engage in this SBC, this objective, this seasonal ladder, whatever it is, so that I can get this item. Even if it's not making it into my first squad, there will be a space for me to go and use this in one of my gauntlet squads. So there's going to be a reoccurring like open entry Rex, go do your thing, or at least that's the plan right now. Now, obviously, we'll listen to feedback and we'll make some adjustments as folks kind of tell us what they like and they don't like. And we're also, in addition to hopefully having that sort of like baseline of like, here's an open rec gauntlet that you can use whatever squads that you want at any time. We'll experiment and we'll have things like, hey, maybe there's going to be a time when it's like, hey, this is only silver items. Or, hey, maybe this is only going to be, as you said, maybe you get into sort of like a certain international football tournament that's coming up, in the summer that we may theme around international teams, right? Like, so there's ways that we'll sort of experiment and sort of get creative in that space. But we want to make sure that there's that baseline of like, I can always have a reason to have a third, a fourth, a fifth squad.
That makes a lot of sense. I guess the other thing though is
That everything they're saying here is exactly what I want to hear about this mode, and it's what gets me so excited. I love that it's going to be open-ended at the beginning with like not very many requirements. Like here, squad requirements, none. Squad must be replaced for each round, and that's it. There's no like, but then later in the year, as they mentioned, maybe you get something along the lines of like, okay, each round you need to have a specific nation for your squad or whatever it may be. I love everything they're saying for this mode. I want to get your guys' thoughts down below. Do you think the Gauntlet is going to be something that people are really drawn to? I just don't want it to end up like Moments where now Moments is offline gameplay, which is why I think it really died off. But like with Gauntlet, there needs to be a reason to play it as well. Like good enough stuff there. And every 2 weeks be like, sweet, the new Gauntlet's coming. I'm gonna get to play with my different teams and just have like excitement around it. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. I hope they get it right. It sounds like they're considering a lot of this stuff. Let me know what you guys think about the brand new Gauntlet mode in FC 26. But guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next video.